Dear students, today we will be having a lecture on Akbar's annexationist policy in Bengal, that how he tried to conquer Bengal, what were the problems there in regard of political situation, and what happened aftermath. First, we would like to discuss who was Akbar. In my previous lecture also, I tried to give a brief outline about who was Akbar and about his early career, and how he tried to conquer the Indian subcontinent was a part of his annexationist policy, which was very much important to establish his supremacy all over India. Akbar, as you all know, he was the son of Humayun. When Akbar got the throne after the death of Humayun, he was a minor. That time he was under the guardianship of Bairam Khan. Gradually he gained power, and after the second battle of Panipat, Akbar realized that it was a right time to exercise his political power and to think about to expand the Mughal Empire in India. He tried to conquer and also conquered Deccan, Gujarat, and parts of Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, he followed the policy of matrimonial alliances along with the wars with some rebel Rajput chiefs. In this particular lecture, we will be highlighting that how he tried to conquer Bengal and what made him to do so. Before going to analyze that how Akbar conquered Bengal, it's very important to highlight the socio-cultural significance and also the political importance of this particular region. As we all know that before the advent of the Mughals, the Delhi Sultans, they ruled in this particular area, and especially there were the kingdoms, if I can mention the names of two dynasties, the Ilyas Shahi dynasty and the Hussain Shahi dynasty, they ruled in this particular kingdom, and definitely they were under the Delhi Sultanate. This area during that time, and still it is, very much fertile, and also in the early 13th century, it witnessed some kind of a political resurgence as well as a revivalism that started from that time onwards in the field of culture. During the rule of Hussain Shahi dynasty, we saw that how Lord Chaitanya, he tried to spread bhakti in this particular region and started the bhakti movement in Bengal, which was also a period which saw a development in the field of Bengali literature, art and culture. The Mughals, they tried to conquer this particular region, and as Babur did not get that much time to do so, Humayun also, he was not that much confident and able to spread his domination all over the Indian subcontinent. After the fall of the Delhi Sultanate, what we have witnessed that in this area, the Afghans became very powerful in this particular region. I am talking about the region of Bengal as well as of Bihar. During the Delhi Sultanate also, these Afghan leaders, they were very powerful, and time to time they tried to exercise their power. After the fall of the Delhi Sultanate and on the eve of the foundation of the Mughal Empire in India, it was something like a power vacuum which encouraged the Afghan leader to take control over the situation, and they established their supremacy over this region, and time to time they posed challenges to the Mughal rulers. Here we would like to highlight again that how Humayun tried to suppress these Afghan leaders and what were the consequences. As we all know that Sher Shah Suri, or previously who was known as Sher Khan or Farid Khan, was a landlord or a Jaigirdar of Sasaram, which was in Bihar. But he tried to exercise his political control not only over Bihar but also over Bengal. During this particular phase, Humayun, he wanted to suppress the Afghan leaders, and he had to have a series of battles with Sher Shah Suri. As you all know that Sher Shah defeated Humayun in the consecutive battles of Chunar, Chausa, Kannauj, and ultimately he dethroned Humayun and established a new dynasty which was known as the Sur dynasty. Now we will be seeing that how Akbar tried to defeat the Afghan leaders who came later Sher Shah, because after his death the Sur dynasty saw a downfall. It was a situation for Akbar to think about it, that how could he be able to suppress the Afghan leaders and whether he would be able to follow the legacy of the great Babur to establish the Mughal supremacy or the Mughal control all over the India, because it was a dream of Babur. That's why he came from Central Asia to have his kingdom in Hindustan. Humayun tried, but he failed. So the entire task was on the shoulder of Akbar. And here our basic concern is how Bengal played an important role in this particular process. On the eve of Akbar's invasion in Bengal, we found that the Karnanis, they were ruling in this particular region. Sulaiman Karnani, who was the king of Bengal or the ruler of Bengal for some time, and his successor was Taj Karnani. Here we should highlight the fact that these sultans or the kings or the rulers, how you can describe them, they also had some jaiges or portions of land in Bihar. So they tried to conquer or they tried to spread their control to Bihar as well, along with their kingship in Bengal. When Akbar came with the thought to conquer Bengal, it was not only Bengal which was in his mind, he also tried to win over Bihar. In these regions, the Afghans were very much powerful, and repeatedly they were giving threats to the Mughal supremacy, like the Rajput leaders of Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, as we all know, Akbar followed two strategies. One was the matrimonial alliance, by which he got married to the Rajput princesses, and in return of that, the Rajput leaders, they got appointment in the Mughal administration and they became mansabdars. Gradually they got power and prestige, and they became the backbone of the Mughal administration. They supported Akbar to a great extent. Not only Akbar, his successors also got support from these Rajputs. Now, after analyzing the situation, we will surely highlight the difference, or we can make a comparative study in this regard. It's very important to analyze the reasons behind Akbar's expedition in Bengal. According to Abul Fazl, that Akbar wanted to conquer East India not only for his desire to have his control over Bihar, also to conquer North Bengal. Why he wanted to conquer North Bengal? Here Abul Fazl gave the explanation that the Bengal peasantry or the farmers in Bengal were in a wretched condition. They were tortured by the rulers of the Karnani dynasty, which made Akbar to think to have an expedition in this particular region to save the peasantry or to give them some kind of relief. As we all know that Akbar was definitely he was a shrewd politician, but on the other hand, he was a generous human being. Through his policy of religious tolerance, as we all know, which was known as Dini Ilahi or Sul-e-Kul, how he tried to have a single religion by which he wanted to have peace and harmony in his empire. He also thought to have economic reforms so that the peasants they should have a happy and prosperous life under his rule. As we all know that how his finance minister Todermal he introduced some revolutionary changes in the existing land revenue system. It was also believed by the historians that after the death of Sulaiman Karnani, Bengal saw a very anarchical situation. So, to have peace and to suppress the Afghan leaders so that they could not go for any kind of revolt or rebellion, Akbar decided to send his expedition because he thought that if he would not be sending the expedition now, then the story could be different in future. Bengal might be a threat for him and he did not want to wait. So, he decided that he should send an expedition and to solve the problems. Here we find he was definitely a shrewd politician, but on the other hand, if those facts were true as depicted by Abul Fazl that the peasants were suffering or they were being tortured by the Karnani rulers, then definitely he was a benevolent ruler. As we have already discussed, if we like to quote from Abul Fazl that Akbar sent an expedition to Bengal because after the Karnanis, when we found Daud Khan, who became the new ruler of Bengal, who was not at all submissive to the Mughals. Previously, the rulers, they were not that much competent, but they used to have the sikka or the coin in the name of the Mughals, and also they used to read the khutbah in the name of the Mughals. The new king, Daud Khan, who was very powerful, he had a huge cavalry and infantry as well. Along with that, he had a strong artillery also. So, he was resourceful and he never showed any kind of respect to the Mughals, because as we know that from Bengal, the kings or the sultans or the rulers, they used to get a large amount of land revenue. So, the rulers in Bengal, they were never poor. And here, the ruler who was not only resourceful in regard of military sources, he was also resourceful or powerful in terms of economy. Here Akbar thought he might be a threat for him like Sher Shah, what was faced by his father Humayun. That's why he sent his army to Bengal to suppress this ruler who was more or less rebel in regard of expressing his loyalty to the Mughal Badshah. I just like to mention the resources of Daud Khan. So he had an army of 40,000 well mounted cavalry, 1,40,000 infantry, 3,600 elephants, and a park of artillery said to consist of 20,000 guns and thousands of war boats, declared himself independent and had the khutbah and sikka issued in his name. From this, we can estimate that how powerful was Daud Khan. So what we saw that Munim Khan, who was the governor of Jaunpur, was instructed by Akbar to handle with the situation. Munim Khan, he moved forward towards Patna and he besieged that city, which was built by Sher Shah Suri. But he failed to suppress the Afghans and he sought the help of Akbar. During that time, Akbar became able to free himself from the political affairs which were taking place in Gujarat, and he proceeded towards the Bengal province with his military resources. He was also equipped with naval resources. So with war boats as well as with cavalry, infantry and also with his artillery men, he marched for Bengal and tried to conquer Bengal with less difficulties. When Akbar came to Bengal, on his way, he conquered Hajipur and Patna. After that, he appointed Munim Khan as the governor of Bengal and entrusted him the responsibility to do the rest. That means to complete the annexation of Bengal as well as of Bihar. In the year 1675, Munim Khan, he signed a treaty with Daud Khan, who was the ruler of Bengal at that time, after defeating Daud Khan at the Battle of Tukaroi. But unfortunately, Munim Khan, he died at Gaur, which changed the situation, and the Mughals, they lost their control over it. Daud Khan, now he conquered or he recaptured his capital, which was known as Tanda. After this incident, Akbar was really very much tensed and he started thinking to have any effective strategy to defeat the Afghans of Bengal forever. Now Akbar appointed Hussain Quli Khan-i-Jahan as the governor of Bengal and he defeated and killed Daud Khan. So it was the end of the rule of the Afghans in Bengal, and it was a period which saw the beginning of Mughal rule in this particular region. After this also, we found that the Afghans, they repeatedly trying to disturb the equilibrium of the Mughal rule or of the Mughal kingdom, or you can say the empire. In Orissa, the Afghan rulers or the Afghan chiefs of small territories, they were always threats for the Mughals. Apart from Orissa, in Bengal and also in different parts of Bihar, the Afghans, they were very much prominent and they were troublesome to manage. Even during the rule of Jahangir, we find that the Afghan zamindars or the landlords of different parts of Bengal and Bihar disturbed and also they posed threats for the Mughal supremacy, and it was not at all an easy task for the Mughal rulers. Like the Marathas, the Afghans in Bengal always disturbed them and they were very much rebellious, so the Mughals they had to put a lot of efforts to suppress these Afghan leaders and also to have their domination or control over the financial resources of this particular region, which was renowned for its fertile lands and also for its flourishing trade and commercial activities. The last years of Akbar's life was very much gloomy as he had to witness the revolt led by his son Salim. During that time, his court was divided into two groups. One was in favor of Salim, who was Akbar's son, and the other group was in favor of Khusro, who was Salim's son. Akbar died in the year 1605. After his death, his son Salim became the next ruler of the Mughal Empire and he got the name Jahangir.